Looking for a way to make a statement without saying a word? Shop I Am All Things Clothier, the brand that lets your wardrobe do the talking. Our shirts aren't just clothing, they're bold declarations of who you are and where you're going. Whether you're crushing your goals, embracing self love, or simply looking to inspire, our designs keep you focused and stylish. So why just wear a shirt when you can wear your mindset? Visit IamEX313.com and choose the shirt that speaks to your journey today because you're more than just one thing. You're everything that you speak. Your circle will change as you accomplish your goals and level up. Everybody can't go. And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley, and today for you guys, I want to talk a little bit about some more about no, 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 and no. November, okay? So if you missed the episode last week, go ahead, run it back after this, or pause this one, go back to last week's episode, take a watch at that so that you'll know what I'm talking about. When I say that we're celebrating November all month long, okay? And that's N-O, two big letters, two capital letters, a capital N, capital O, Vember. And this month, I'm really encouraging you guys as we go through all of these different holidays, as we're coming to the end of the year, as we're closing out 2024, so that you can be empowered with saying no. That's it. No, period. It's a complete sentence. Shout out to Melty again. And so that you will continue to do things that propel you forward with like the least stress possible, the path of least resistance, and so that you're able to get to your next level and to achieve some of the goals and tasks that you have set ahead of yourself over these next 2 months as we round out the year. So even if you haven't been getting to your goals all year, whatever you started in January, you didn't finish it, you might not have lost that same 10 pounds that everybody restarts January 1st, or a project that you began, or your goal list, anything that you didn't reset halfway through the year, any of those things, the year isn't over yet. The year is not over yet. You can still get some of those things done. Take a look back. One of my favorite things to do is scroll backwards in my phone and actually take a look at pictures and videos that you took for each month of the year. What were you doing? Who was you with? What space were you in? Were you good? Were you trying to get well? Were you unwell? What were you working on? What were your goals at the time? So those are that's just a little exercise that you can do. And let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments if you have done this exercise or if you tried it. If you're not watching me on your phone, or if you're just listening audio version, then you can actually start scrolling back while you listen to me talk if you're able to do that kind of multitasking. If not, go ahead and do it after the episode is over and let me know what you think in the show notes. Let me know some of the things that you were like, oh dang, I did do that. A lot of times we're able to easily forget the things that have happened over the past, what has it been, 10 months? And all of the things that we actually did accomplish. So November is not the time to give up now. We saying no to all of the outside things that keep us from saying yes to ourselves. And so don't say no to you, but say no to some of that other stuff if you need to. So today, the profound topic that I found, the quote that I saw. Now, I have a special request. If you are of Japanese lineage or descent, or if you are a listener in Japan, stationed in Japan, any of that, if this is not a real Japanese legend, reach out to me immediately because I want to know. And of course, I could Google it myself, but where's the conversation in that? Okay, so if this is not truly a Japanese legend, forgive me. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what was said was still good. It was an unknown, person who said it. So that's why this was attributed to being a legend. And it says, if you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more expensive the return trip will be. I read it one time and I was like, screenshotting that because I got to talk to them about it. I was like, I got to talk to y'all about it. And y'all know that I talk about the reason, season, or lifetime. And this really reminded me of how relationships specifically, and we do it in friendships as well. We will get on the wrong path, get on the wrong train with a person. And it's like, we all talk about it online all day, every day. Red flag this, red flag that, red flag, red flag. I should have known. Took me 7 red flags. And the thing that I thought about was, okay, all of those red flags, that's all of them stops when you're on the train going the wrong way. And so, to give you a little bit of backstory, I remember one time I was visiting in New York. And when I go places, I want to be immersed in the culture of the city. And so we decided who was fighting that traffic because my nerves, no thank you. And I'm like, let's go for an adventure. Let's ride the subway. If you've never been to New York before, as a visitor, as a tourist, and tried to ride the subway, I will be the one to tell you that there are multiple ways to get what I call downstairs to get onto the subway car, onto the train, right? So when you go downstairs, depending on whether you should be traveling north, west, east, south, I know I said those like wrong. So whether you're traveling east to west or west to east, whether you're traveling north to south or south to north, it depends which set of tracks you are going to get on the train at. So you can't just walk across some train tracks, right? That means when you go to what I call downstairs, when you go down to the train, you have to go down on the right side. There are some stops where once you're down, you can get across to the other side to get to the right train to where you're supposed to be. But there are train stations that I have been in, subway stations that I have been in, where once you go downstairs and it's like, you better read them signs, read it careful. Because GPS is only going to tell you so much. GPS going to say, you need to go down right about here. It's not going to tell you, oh, wait, hold on. Go back up, cross the street and go on the other side. You really have to pay attention to what the map says, what are you reading, where are you going, and what are you doing. And so if you get on the train going the wrong way, you'll start, if you're paying attention to the stops that it showed you on GPS, that it says on the little tourist map or whatever it is that you're reading, if you're supposed to be traveling north and the streets is going 42, 41, 40, 39, you're going the wrong way. You just gonna ride the train until it stops, or are you just gonna say, oh wait, because really it only takes you one stop to find out that you're going the wrong way. And when we're talking about relationships, that one stop, it could be a mistake, it could be that first red flag, could be somebody's having a bad day, could be a misunderstanding, it could be a lot of things. So when we're talking about getting off at that nearest station, when you're speaking of relationships, friendships, communication, any of those type of things, I can give you the one stop. But once you hit stop 2, 3, 4, 5, y'all, really? We be knowing we just don't want to go ahead and get off because we already paid the fare. We paid the fare to get on. I don't want to waste this $2.90 that I paid to get on here. Which, shout out to the New Yorkers. Yeah, I know you could get off and you ain't got to pay that $2.90 again, but rock with me. All right, rock with me. If you got on the wrong train, well, no, you could still, you ain't got to repay. But we place value on our time at the wrong time. You already paid the fare in that relationship or that friendship, and you like, I don't want to, I already put in this amount of time, I already put in this much effort. I don't want to waste it. Not paying attention to and not counting that if you continue to stay there, you're going to waste your time and you're going to waste more of your time. And from the time that you realize that this is the wrong way and you stay on that path, you stay on that train, you stay in relationship with that person, you stay in friendship with your person, let's go ahead and take some hard accountability. Whose fault is it that your time is wasted from the moment you realize your time is being wasted? I'm going to just be quiet for a sec so you can think about it. Don't turn off the pod though, because I know I just pissed off some of y'all when I said that. From the moment you realize that your time was being wasted and that you were on the wrong train and you sat there, can you really hold the other person accountable for you continuing to sit there on that train? Can you blame somebody else for you staying on that wrong path that you know you're going the wrong way and you gonna will it to be right, even though you know that it's wrong? And you know I'll be the first to tell you, guilty. I did it before. And unfortunately, I had to sit there and look at my decision and I was like, okay, let me get off this train and figure out what am I gonna do. And I'm not talking about the subway in NYC anymore. Let's keep it 100. Oh, two things that I have for you guys today concerning that are, the first one is know where you're going, what your goal is, what your vision is, what is your agenda. Know that first. Where are you going? You might get twisted up and turned around on the way there, but where are you going, first of all? Because it's real easy to pick up the wrong people and the wrong stuff when you just aimlessly wandering. Now, mind you, I said aimlessly wandering. You not thinking about what you're thinking about. I did not say while you were frolicking or while you were practicing self-care, while you were trying to do a mindless activity so that you can decompress. Those are thought about and calculated choices. So I'm really talking about you really aren't paying attention to where you're going, what you're doing, what you're spending your time on when you don't have a goal. And it doesn't have to be a big goal. It doesn't have to be a big lofty goal. It doesn't have to be a smart goal. Again, we'll go back to something super simple so that you don't get the two confused. If I decide that I'm going to go frolic in the field and I want to just mosey on around, maybe pick some little flowers, get some dandelions or something, take those little fluffy dandelion thingies and blow the little seeds, because I can just frolic in the field while I'm by myself and not with somebody that has allergies. Shout out to y'all and y'all allergies. I be tearing y'all up with them little dandelion puff things. But I digress. And so if I decide that that's what I'm going to do, that's the goal. My goal is to frolic. So even though to someone else, it's like, what is she doing over there in the field? Like, she over there blowing the little seeds and the fluffy things in the air, just twirling around, not realizing, oh, I want to feel the sun on my face. I'm listening to the birds in the trees that are nearby. I'm enjoying watching bumblebees like go from flower to flower. I'm looking at some of our little pollinators, the flora and fauna. I'm enjoying the atmosphere. I'm enjoying the breeze on my skin. There's a goal set with my frolic in the field. Now, the reason why I use that one as an example, because from the outside looking in, somebody could just glance over and be like, oh, she ain't doing nothing. But I am. I am doing exactly what I went to do in the field. I'm doing exactly what I ventured out of my house and chose a spot outside that I would be in for the purposes of my enjoyment and minding my business in the way that I chose to mind it. So make sure that you know where you're going first. Know what is the goal, your aim, what is your agenda, what are you going to do? So if the word goal bothers you for it, or like the term having an agenda, if that bothers you, just keep in mind, where are you going and what are you doing? What is your intent? Like, what are you setting out to do? And when we think intentionally about what we are setting out to do, that helps us to not waste our own time, one. And also, when you are focused on having that intent on what you are going to do with your time, even if your intent is to do absolutely nothing, or self care however you would like, or frolic wherever you want, if that is your intent and your goal, it is far easier for you to let another person know, not just this November, but to let someone else know. And when I say let somebody else know, I mean let them know KNOW, so you can tell them no, NO. If and when you need to, if you were not looking for company, if you do not have capacity, if you do not have time for that specific request, task, or aid that you're giving to someone else. If you aren't paying attention to what you're using your time for, no matter how big or small, it's easy for you to just, yeah, sure, I got you. Do you really? And this is part of what we talked about last week. Do you really? Or did you just not think about what you had already either planned to do, or you didn't think about what you needed to be doing at all? Because since you were not working, you, quote unquote, weren't doing nothing. Make sure that you're taking inventory of what your doing nothing really means. And if you must, write it down. Because somebody could say, I'm doing nothing all they want to. If I want to go frolic in the field, guess who frolicking? If I would like to go sit on my chase and literally sit in my spot and listen to that air conditioner blow, it looks like I'm sitting there doing nothing to someone else. I am thinking, I am meditating, I could be praying. Whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm minding my business, because that is a specific thing that I chose to do with intent. But previously, I would have said, I ain't doing nothing, because I wasn't physically actively doing a thing. I said that I was doing no thing. I was doing something. I just didn't think about to myself what that something was. So that's one of the things that I really want you to pay attention to. And you're doing that first. You are knowing where you're going, what you're doing first, so that when you are getting on that train, you know what direction you're headed in and you know what the destination is. So those where are you going? What are you doing? Those two things are important. The next thing that this quote brought out for me, and I'll read the quote again. If you get on the wrong train, get off at the nearest station. The longer it takes you to get off, the more expensive the return trip will be. So the other thing that that quote really reminded me of was overstaying and or letting other people overstay their welcome. And I don't even want to say overstaying their welcome. That's just how the phrase goes. There are a lot of times where you are welcomed to overstay as long as you want with someone or in a place that they're not paying attention to. What is the goal? Where are they going? What are they doing? They don't have a destination in mind. So if there's no destination in mind, how are you guys heading somewhere together? Where you headed? Where you going? And if you don't know where you're going, what you're doing? That takes us back to when I asked, if you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, then what are you doing? That's where I got my first point from, which was know where you're going first, you specifically, so that you get in alignment and keep company with people who are either on that same path, on the same train, going toward the same destination, at least remotely to the same destination area, place. If you guys both don't know where you're going, that is like the recipe for just wasting time. And it's not like you aren't doing anything. You're just doing a bunch of stuff. You're just doing stuff. Just stuff. All of the things. And it's like all of the things that are leading to what? Who? We was just was. And when you're being intentional with how you're using your time, which let's not act like it's not unlimited. We know it's our most valuable resource. It is not unlimited. So we do need to pay attention to what we're doing with it. We do. We have to. We literally don't. Well, you do have a choice. You always have a choice. But let's talk about making wise choices. That's what we talk about over here, making some wise choices. So when you're letting other people overstay, or if you are the person that's overstaying, whether you're welcome to do so or not, make sure that you are paying attention to how much it will cost you. And when I say how much it will cost you, I'm not just talking about what a money reside cost you. I'm talking about how much will it cost you in your time, in your energy, in your resources, in your connections. How much will it cost you in your peace of mind? If and when you are overstaying, whether you're welcome or not, if you are overstaying in a place where you should not be, if you get on a train and it's taking you in that wrong direction, you go one stop, you go three stops, you go seven stops to get off that train and go back the other way. It's going to get more and more expensive to get back to where you came from at step one because you went the wrong way. When you're talking about these relationships, you could tell from the very first conversation, this probably isn't someone I should be spending time or keeping company with. But you do it anyway because you're being nice. Being nice to who? To you? If they not doing nothing and you're not doing nothing, are you even there adding value to your life? Or y'all both just not doing nothing together? Think about it. You don't necessarily have to be doing anything wrong to be wasting somebody else's time or for somebody else to be wasting yours. That's why you're paying attention to know where you're going and what you're doing, so that someone else isn't inadvertently wasting your time or that you aren't letting them. So, and you know, that time piece, we always talk about that. And I say time first because that's the number one asset, the number one commodity, the number one value. And then we can start talking about really money is third, because you can have a lot of money you want to, but if you're losing a lot of peace of mind, messing around with that person, messing around in that place, or messing around with that thing, that's going to become more and more expensive to you the more time that you spend on it, with it, in it. Is going to be more and more costly, more and more expensive for you. Would you pay in peace of mind when there are places that you could be that could be adding to your peace of mind, that could be adding to your mental and emotional well-being, as opposed to taking away from it, as opposed to subtracting from that part of your life and not replenishing it? And talking about that peace of mind for the amount of money, is that check they cutting you at wherever you at? And I ain't saying just run out and go quit your job. That's why we think about where we're going and what we're doing first. But you getting that big check is doing what it needs to do. The check is checking. But how much of your peace of mind are you paying for said check? It's the difference between a normal amount of work stress, them tap dancing on your last nerve, and you tapping on a door burnout. That's something that I really, really need us to pay attention to, especially when we are in a place and time where prices of everything's going up, salaries ain't keeping up with sale prices, money ain't money in like it used to. All of that, I'll let you look up those stats on your own before I get off on the tangent on that part. But how long you gonna stay at that job that you cannot stand, and you knew you couldn't stand it last month, you knew you couldn't stand it last year, we almost to the end of this year, but the check though, How much peace of mind do you have left knowing that you hate it and you need to get off the train so you can go back the other way? Or so you can make a transfer. Because if you on a train and you don't get off at the right stop when you're supposed to, you still gonna have to go back so that you can get off at the station where you can get the proper transfer so that you can finish getting to where you're going. So don't be afraid to get off the train. Sometimes it must be done. Sometimes it's needed. Sometimes it's to go back. Sometimes it's to take a transfer so that you can go in a different direction. Whether it's either of those, if it's needed, don't be afraid to go ahead and hop off. Because the longer you stay on going in the wrong direction, especially after you've identified that you're going in the wrong direction, you have no one else to blame. Even if you don't know where you're going instead, but you know that there is a train that you need to get off of that train and have a seat on the bench so that you can go back to figuring out the goal. What are you doing? Where are you going? What's the destination? So that you don't get off a train and get onto another one just because you train hopping, just because you relationship hopping, just because you friend hopping. Sometimes if you have to have that time of isolation, we talk about it in the book, Everybody Can't Go. When you need that time of isolation, make sure you're doing something with it. Just because you're alone don't mean that you're lonely. And if you are lonely, you got a lot of work to do because you're not lonely. You're just alone. And you have work to do. You have something to do. So first and foremost, figure out what that vision is that you have for your life so that you can start moving in that direction instead of just wherever, with whoever, whenever, and allowing everyone else or other people to make decisions for your life that may or may not be to your benefit. And that's also one of the ways that it's easy to be in a position to be used or misused. And when I say used, I mean used improperly. There are great ways to be used as a resource and great ways to add value. But make sure that that's not being taken advantage of by others because you have no idea what you are doing with your time and you have no idea where you're headed to and what you are attempting to accomplish or what you would like to accomplish or what you're working on. Make sure that you're working on something so that somebody else doesn't just come along, look at you and be like, yes, have a use for you and your set of skills. So in closing, I will remind you once more, know where you're going, know what the goal is, pay attention to what you're doing with your time, even when you are quote unquote doing nothing. That wasn't supposed to do those balloons, but okay, we'll rock with it. But even if you are doing nothing, go ahead and have a party with yourself and do that nothing. Might look like nothing to somebody else, but if you're intentional with what you are doing with your time, then you are doing something, whether it looks like nothing to somebody else or not. Be a gatekeeper of your time and protect it during this November. And finally, pay attention to how much it's going to cost you to stay on that wrong path. If you see that you're going the wrong way and you're afraid to stop, you're afraid to get off that train, think about how much it's going to cost you. And if you can't guesstimate that, go ahead and look back and see how much you done already paid for it. Not just paid in money. How much time have you already wasted on it? Or on them? Or on him? Or on her? And what are you trading? What are you paying for it? How long are you going to waste your own time once you figured it out? And then finally, make sure that you are keeping that peace of mind at top of mind when you're thinking about how to use your time. Bars. That was unintentional, but anyway, hashtag bars. But no, in all seriousness, pay attention to your peace of mind, your emotional and mental health and well-being, and taking control and taking hold of the things, the people, the situations, the environments that can be damaging to your mental and emotional health. And with you being taking ownership of that and being in control of that, when you need to tell somebody no this November, remember all the things we've talked about for the past 2 episodes. So go ahead, follow us on all streaming platforms, anywhere where you listen to your podcasts. We can be found so that you can go ahead and keep me in your pocket if you need a reminder. If you need to take a little breather, take a break, and run back some of the information from these messages, go ahead and do just that. We will see you guys next week for another November episode of Everybody Can't Go Convos. And one more thing before we head out of here. This week, this Monday, we celebrated another holiday. Shout out to all of the veterans, especially the ones in my life, but the veterans in your life are just as important. I just like to do a special shout out to mine. And as I've told a handful of them already, if you guys, the veterans, if you guys did not do this job, yikes, if it was left up to me, I just know I wouldn't do it right. So I thank you, veterans. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of the hearts of my listeners at home and abroad. And the next holiday that we have coming up is Thanksgiving. So as we practice saying no this November, make sure that you reach out to a veteran that you know, love, and trust, or some that you don't, and just give them another thank you as we close out this week. So with that, we will leave you all and we will see you guys next Wednesday for another Everybody Can't Go Convo. Calling all Gen X women writers. Do you have a book inside of you just waiting to be written? It's time to stop sitting on that dream and start smiling at your completed manuscript. Join us for an unforgettable, fully immersive weekend retreat designed to take you from stuck to published. From March 14th through 16th, 2025, at a luxurious retreat home in Orlando, Florida, you'll be guided step by step by best-selling authors, experienced publishers, and your writing coach, Melissa T, who's authored 8 books and helped countless writers become bestsellers. This is your chance to unshackle the story that's been living inside of you for months or even years and release your voice to the world. Because when you share your words, you change lives one page at a time. Secure your spot today and get ready to write the book you were born to create. Save your spot now. Click the link below.